Small businesses are the cornerstone of our economy, and yet 88% of them have no one other than the owner that started the business. This is a crucial part of our economy, and if you look at the growth that's happening in small businesses, 26% now are started by Black founders. We've got 7% of micro businesses that are founded by women. In California, 45% of Black-owned businesses were the ones that were in this category. 75% of women business owners say that the lack of capital is really their biggest obstacle to growth. And throughout the pandemic, nearly all of Black and people of color in businesses were challenged by receiving any PPP funding. So we want to take a look at PCV's integrated model and how this is so effective. It's a place-based ecosystem partnership. It's actually democratizing access to capital by centering that power within the communities, with community leaders and organizations. We've got the policy research side, which has a learning agenda that centers on small business owners, worker empowerment, and advocates for system change. And we also have fund innovations, right? So investing in California, for example, PCV has been able to place over $10 million. 90% of this capital has gone to entrepreneurs of color and to women, right? So you're joining a really dynamic group, not only for business owners who have received funding, but now stretching across the country with business advising and mentorship support. And this will give you an idea of the kinds of impact the PCV has been able to have in its own backyard in Oakland. Right. So who's the PCV client? Who will you be working with? This is a snapshot of the type of a client that you likely will be working with in the communities that PCV is working to serve across the country with a business mentorship. Women-owned businesses, people who have been in many different groups, identifying with Asian American Pacific Islander heritage, Black or African American, other multiracial mixes, Latinx groups, as well as immigrant communities and Native American. So we want to know who our clients are. Who is it that we're predominantly going to be working with as our small business owners when we're a business advisor? The business advising group that you've joined has served over 1,500 entrepreneurs. And you can see here that the people that are being served are predominantly entrepreneurs of color, women, and that 60% nearly now have been served outside California. A cornerstone of the business advising program is the Good Jobs, Good Business program. Now, you may have signed up for a cohort that was specific to your area of expertise, be it finance, grants, marketing, business operations, or maybe HR. There's also the Good Jobs, Good Business program, a cohort that is going to help to further PCV's impact. And this is something that you're going to want to know about, even if you haven't joined the cohort, because there are a lot of resources here for your small business owner. And when we take a look at this, it really is about putting the hands in the community to work together. It's about sharing opportunities for job improvement, workplace improvement, through things like employee compensation, even scheduling, as simple as having 2 weeks notice of the schedule that you'll be working. Sometimes your small business owners will be prepared for growth and looking at hiring. What's important to know about that? And also, how can they affect that? And do it in a way that isn't going to be as challenging given that they have multiple priorities. Employee engagement, particularly in these areas of small business entrepreneurship, is really key. While your business owner may not be able to raise the amount that they pay their employees, they may be able to engage them in a way that they have the commitment that is going to help their business to flourish. Health benefits are, of course, key for building our communities, as well as retirement and wealth building options. So these are all things that are going to be addressed. And these are places where you can turn your small business owner toward potentially another advisor to help to support them, in addition to learning about the Good Jobs, Good Business program yourself, so that you know about all the resources that are available to your small business owner. In this area, you're going to see that for some of them, the ones who receive loans, they even have financial incentives for each of these job enhancing and workplace enhancing components that they add. They receive a financial incentive. So you'll be working with the cohort if you signed up for that cohort, or you'll be able to receive information directly from the lead business advisor who will be running that. Okay. And here's some information about the toolkit that's available for the Good Jobs, Good Business program. And this is something that's going to be tracked. When we talked about research being an integral component here, you are going to be in the front lines. You'll be the ones working directly with the small business owners. And your survey results that you report back monthly, as well as any comments that you send to your relationship manager in real time about your experience with your small business owner or their particular needs or considerations, is going to help this research. And it's going to help PCV to better target how they can support the communities that are served. There are a lot of different organizations that partner with PCV, and there's a lot of work that is going on from PCV to help improve job quality throughout the country. There's this theory of change that PCV has, where PCV is working to help to support change throughout the country, working through small businesses. And I'd also like to have an opportunity to share with you some other ways that you can be involved with PCV. So the important part about becoming a successful and impactful investor is going to be a commitment to your client. It's going to be working with them in a way that you're able to support their experience and their growth, their inner leadership, if you will. And this is something that is going to be ongoing throughout your 6-month engagement with each of the people that you serve. So as you're working with your small business owner, you want to be there to advise them. You'll be their point person with PCV, and you'll be focusing on specific issues. So if you signed up for marketing or finance, for example, you may be helping them to solve potential problems or issues there. And you're also going to be working with them as the business owner to help cultivate their leadership. You're going to be helping them to recognize all the different options and possibilities that there could be that they might not see. And as a business advisor, you want to do that by recognizing the diversity of the business advising network and respecting the variety of cultures and norms and beliefs that it contains. You're going to be acting in the best interest of the small business advisor and attempting to encourage them, motivate them, right? Point out opportunities as well as problems. And then stay in contact with PCV, with your relationship manager, so that you can inform them of whatever resources are available to them. That could be building a team of advisors beyond yourself, so that they can take advantage of the different people that are advising from the different cohorts, whether it's someone from marketing as well as operations, as well as someone who can help them with good jobs, good business, for example. Okay. You're going to be assisting the small business owner in maintaining regular contact, by maintaining regular contact and having regular contact with your relationship manager. Right? And that way you can provide real-time information to the PCV, business advising team, so that they understand how the needs are changing potentially, how goals might be changing, the kind of environment that your small business owner is working in. And that way PCV can remain responsive with whatever products and services they're providing. So we have a few questions that are coming in the chat. I just wanted to let you know that we'll be doing a whole Q&A session afterwards. So please do submit whatever questions you have into the chat, and we'll be happy to talk with you about that then. So the Good Jobs, Good Business program, again, is one where you're going to want to inform yourself of all of the resources that are available for improving job quality. Okay? And it could be really simple. Sometimes raising wages isn't simple, but among PCV's small business owners, they've actually reached wonderful metrics and great results, and have been able to improve both the hourly wages as well as providing health benefits, increasing the types of offerings to their clients, such as paid time off. And important thing that as a business advisor, you may never have even encountered in your work life. But if you put yourself in the shoes of the small business owner in the communities that they come from, you can see that even knowing what your schedule will be 2 weeks in advance could be a significant improvement. You have business advisor training available to you, and that's going to be in the form of joining cohorts, whether it's for these specific areas of focus where you have specific areas of expertise, or it could be where you want to expand your areas of focus. Perhaps you've been advising, or your career has been in one particular area, but you'd like to have a little bit more background in another so that you can be advising your small business owners on a multitude of different areas. So it's possible to join these business cohorts for trainings, and also to join the BIPOC entrepreneur training. And that's a special one that Lavanya Jones is running. And we'd like to have her join us so that she can tell us a little bit more about her program. So I'm going to turn that over to Lavanya.
Yes, thank you so much. It was an honor to listen to your presentation. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am Lavanya Jones, and I will be leading the Advising BIPOC Entrepreneurs cohort. And just wanted to share with you all really quickly about what you will encounter with this cohort and why PCV is adding this cohort to this program. So I wanted to start with this quote from the Annie Casey Foundation. They did some research and found that racial inequalities were the greatest barrier to equitable opportunities and results for BIPOC entrepreneurs. And that's important to note because many people think that there's not really a barrier, there's not really a difference. But research has shown that there definitely is, and it has to be addressed. So what are some of the challenges really quickly that BIPOC entrepreneurs encounter that you may encounter as you're advising them? One, being taken seriously, accessing capital, most of us know that one. Defying social expectations, those stereotypes that they often are labeled with. Building a support network, and then also owning their accomplishments, that imposter syndrome. And so I really became passionate about this work with a few encounters I had with advising entrepreneurs that look like me. One being operating in historic neighborhood here in Atlanta, Georgia. And we were tasked with building a business incubator in the community. And when I would go around and ask some of the community members if they wanted to be an entrepreneur, many of them said no. And this is a community where only 61% of the parents had a GED. Most of the young men between 18 and 24 were unemployed. It was a food desert, innovation desert, wasn't much there, but they're residential neighborhoods. And my thought was, well, who doesn't want to be an entrepreneur? But then when I would ask, do you want to work for yourself? They're like, yeah, I want to work for myself. Yeah, I want to be my own boss. It's like, oh, you don't know what an entrepreneur means. Okay, so we need to scale it back and kind of build that foundation so that we can get you to the place where you can have a viable business. There was another story I actually came across as I was preparing for this cohort, going back to a Black soldier that fought in World War II. And when he returned back to the United States, he was not able to get any of the GI loans and bills that his fellow white soldiers were able to obtain. And so he decided to start a trash pickup business. He got a fleet of trucks to pick up trash, hired employees, and the white citizens of the town burned all his trucks, threatened his employees that they all quit, and he went out of business and was not able to get his business back going. And so when you think of stories like that, think about the generational trauma of other employees in that neighborhood about working for a Black entrepreneur. So there may be some issues with other Black entrepreneurs hiring. Think about the generational trauma of maybe that soldier had kids that saw what he went through, and now they don't want to be entrepreneurs because they saw what their dad went through, and then that can affect them economically and financially. So those are some of the things and stories you may encounter. And so if we do this correctly and we enter into our advising relationships with BIPOC entrepreneurs with the right lens, we have a justice plus transformational coaching lens, which will equal equitable and advising lens. So in doing this, just really quickly, the justice lens, we have to understand that it's no longer okay to just be non-racist. We have to be anti-racist. And being anti-racist means being intentional and purposeful in undoing the racial barriers, the barriers we talked about in the beginning that these entrepreneurs may face. So in my cohort, we're going to start next week, July 19th, and start with the DISC, because you have to have that internal view and how you are and how you view the world and how you communicate before you can then look externally. So we're going to start with giving an overview of the DISC assessment and how you as an advisor, how you advise, how you work on a team, how you work as a leader, how you give feedback and those type of things. And then we're going to go into the justice lens where we'll talk about go deeper into these biases, the history and trauma that you may encounter with BIPOC entrepreneurs. It's not just with Black entrepreneurs, but with Indigenous communities, Asian communities, the things they've encountered in this country. And then we'll talk about the coaching lens from the perspective of really cultivating values, aligned and interdependent relationships where you decenter yourself as a source of power and put the entrepreneur in the position of power that they are the expert in their business. And then lastly, we're going to cover the coaching process, how you as an advisor can really stand in the future for BIPOC entrepreneurs and kind of be the person that can curb that imposter syndrome and really help them to achieve the success and things that they want. So I would love to have you all in my cohort if you have not already signed up. It's going to be fun and we're going to really dig deep so that we can really support these entrepreneurs and help them build generational wealth for their families. Turn it back over to you.
So much, Lavanya.
You're welcome.
Right. So I'd like to continue with sharing a little bit more about coaching and how you're coaching people, how you're working with them. Yeah. And this dovetails on what Lavanya just said in terms of how are we showing up? Who are we being? And how do we cultivate inner leadership, our own as well as that of our small business owner? So as we're working with them, we're really looking at power and communications and power within the relationship. And can I cultivate my inner leadership such that I've got active listening skills, I'm aware of who I'm being and how I'm showing up with my small business owner, as well as seeing what they're like today, you know, what's up for them, how are they talking to me, and what's happening within our relationship. So the important thing is to take a look at power. And the equal power in the relationship is what happens when you're in a coaching relationship. So if you're wearing your coaching hat, it's going to be different than your consulting hat. And while you've been signed up with PCV to be a business advisor for a particular area of focus, you're likely having a lot of experience that you can share from a consulting side. But while you've signed up there, the important thing is to also understand how you can walk alongside your small business owner as a coach, where you can do both. And so it's this hybrid of sorts where you're the lead person for them, their support person. And through the trauma-informed lens, we know that likely having support, someone you can depend on, who's there for you, especially going through something like entrepreneurship, being a small business owner and being at the top, we have few people to talk to, and that can be something that is really significant. So where's the power in the relationship? Equal power in the relationship as a coach, or is the power with the consultant when you're giving them strategic advice or solving problems? So the coach is going to bring relationship skills. They're going to bring their expertise in working with people, whereas your consultant is bringing technical expertise. The coach is really there to help develop the person, develop the leadership skills of the person, to be there with them, walk with them, whereas the consultant is there to solve the problem. Your coach is going to ask questions while your consultant provides answers. And a coach is going to pull answers out of the client, holding the small business owners completely whole, resourceful, able to find their own solutions to whatever the circumstances and situations they're dealing with. On the consulting side, you'll be there to actually solve a specific problem for them. Using your expertise, your knowledge, you're going to provide possibilities. On the coaching side, you're going to explore possibilities with the small business owner. And on the coach side, you can walk alongside them as one of those positive performance coaches, people who supports them, believes in them. And on the consulting side, you're going to be more the hero versus the coach. You're the one who's got the expertise. You're the one who has the experience, the knowledge base, the knowledge transfer is happening because of you and through you. So you're giving the fish versus teaching the person to fish. And there are appropriate moments for both. Likely you're going to be going back and forth because as you see your client as being whole and knowing their situation and knowing what's right for them, you can also assist them with strategy as an advisor, longer term vision, and being there to help them with the things that they don't know. So we also want to look at mentorship. Who are you? What's your preference? Do you prefer to engage in things like this and volunteering as a mentor, where you really tuck someone under your wing? You're walking with them for a longer period of time. You're providing guidance from your wisdom and your expertise. And this is where the power resides within the mentor. You may not have that interest or the time, and perhaps you're really showing up as an advisor, and that's what's right for you. You've got a specific area of expertise. You can provide strategic direction, more of a high-level issues, or helping with systems and process improvement. Now, while you may understand this from your background, the important thing to remember is that as we're working with these small business owners, just as was previously mentioned about even understanding the word entrepreneur, what is an entrepreneur, or being my own boss, I understand that language. Assisting with systems and processes could, for example, be as simple as time management skills, staying focused on task. If we look through the trauma-informed lens, it could be that someone who's had a lot of stress, and trauma really is just stress, and all of us have been there walking through these last couple of years. So if you've had a lot of stress, it could be that you're just not as sharp as you were. Maybe you can't hold as many ideas. Maybe your mind is flitting back and forth from one thing to the other, and you're having a hard time staying on task or remembering things. So maybe you get distracted easily. And it could be for your small business owners that they're really stretched, that they're wearing many hats, not just as the business owner, but because they're taking care of children. Maybe they're a single parent. Maybe they have elders to care for. Maybe their living situation is challenging. Who knows? So with all that we have in life, all of ourselves to consider, assisting them could be really different than whatever you've experienced from your background. But providing direction and achieving goals, that's something that you can work with them on, and that you will work with them on, in finding what's really keeping them aligned to their values or what's important to them. How are they going to fulfill purpose? And if you were just to ask, well, what's your purpose in life? They may not be able to give you an answer. or they may not have ever contemplated it. Perhaps they haven't had time for that. But people can tell you what's important to them, what's on their heart. What is it that they really, really want? So if you are working with your small business owner as an advisor, you can help provide this direction for them. And it could be in a multitude of different ways, or perhaps they're going to ask for your support on something really specific. And that's it. That may be all they have time for. But you'll generally work with organizations over a longer period of time, and hence you're an advisor, a business advisor, because we're asking for that 6-month commitment to the small business owner so that they really feel that they have someone there in their corner, someone there to support them and advise them, someone to advocate for them, and to help them to build the PCV business advisor team that they might need if they need more people from different areas of specialization for whatever their particular needs are. So coaching and consulting combined, advising and coaching combined, being a mentor as well as an advisor combined. These are things that you'll likely be doing with this hybrid type of a model where you're going to be wearing different hats and helping in different capacities. So advising clients in areas that you're familiar with and things that you're uniquely suited for. Right? Plus, assisting them in determining their goals, supporting them through challenges, supporting through the process of change, and helping them to achieve their objectives. And sometimes that means being an accountability partner, hopefully in a supportive way, as well as helping them get curious around something that may not have happened. And there could be a lot of blame, shame, guilt, through the trauma-informed lens, which is basically just looking at how we deal with stressors. But if you've had a lot of them for a continued period of time growing up and in your community where you've absorbed trauma or experiences that other people have been going through, it could be that it's hard for you to set goals. You may be shy about trying to stretch and reach for something or believe that something could be possible. And this is where who you are and how you're showing up can have a really great impact. Just being a listening partner, not having to fix anything, is on the coaching side, right? So while you may provide solutions and possibilities, you also can be there as a sounding board, the thinking partner, someone there just to listen. And beyond championing their efforts and the wins, probably more importantly, it'd be being there to help them think through and get curious about why something didn't happen. Or maybe if they had a goal, it might be time to reframe it or to recast it. And it doesn't mean that that's a failure. It could just mean that at that particular moment you set the goal, that's exactly what you were thinking. Now you have new information, different experiences under your belt. You've grown, you've learned. And so it could be that changing your goal, adjusting it, or recasting the direction you're headed is exactly what it is that's right for you, and not just hitting that target. When we look at communications, what's really important is what Dr. Albert Mehrabian from UCLA had discovered, is that, researched, is that words account for 7% of our communications. Where we're usually thinking on our words, what we're going to say, what we want to deliver. What we don't usually focus on are the other components that are 93% of the efficacy of communications. And that's body language, which accounts for 55%, and how you say something, which is 38% of the efficacy of your communications. So who you're being, how you're showing up, how you're interacting with your small business owner, staying aware of the power in the communications, listening, that's going to be crucial. Because when we're in communication with someone, we can ask, well, what's happening within me? I'm listening to what they're saying. What's coming up for me now? And how am I showing up? What's my presence saying? What's my body language saying? Beyond just body language, where you may seem closed or kind of disinterested, or where you may seem too strong and too forward for someone, particularly if there are any sensitivities around racial or economic gaps between you and perceptions of them between you and the business owner. Those are things that are really important to be aware of. So what's my presence? How might I be perceived? And how am I being reacted to? And then we can take a look at them. And if we're really strong and there's a lot of energy coming from us toward them in our voice or in our presence and our countenance or what we're saying, it could be that the other person kind of shrinks back a little bit. And through the trauma-informed lens, through the culturally competent lens of working with BIPOC communities, we want to be aware of what's happening within the communications here and what our presence is saying, right? Because as we shift our presence, we allow the opportunity for collaboration, for teamwork, for the other to feel seen and to feel more empowered. We're able to help diffuse defensiveness and help bring about collaboration. And to the points that were just shared about working with BIPOC communities, it can go a long way towards supporting someone's development of self-esteem, their willingness and ability to reach out and to try something and to move themselves forward, as well as those in their community. What we're really looking for is being aligned, aligning with ourselves, aligning with the others, and with whatever our mission is for the day with our small business owner. And that way we can have the greatest influence through our communications in our relationship, as well as helping to impact the goals that we have for ourselves and what we're hoping for a small business owner. As we look through the trauma-informed lens, we want to understand stress reactions, because trauma really is stress and how we react to stress. And goodness knows, over the last couple of years, we all have walked through a lot of trauma. So it doesn't mean that you're working with anything particularly different or specific relative to trauma. But if we understand how people are reacting to stress and extreme stress or prolonged periods of stress, just like we've walked through, then we can understand that safety is number one. You know, trustworthiness and transparency, that someone is actually being authentic with you and that they're standing behind what they say, that they're sincere and genuine. You know, trustworthiness is crucially important with the communities that we'll be working with, and how we're showing up is going to play a large part of how we're being perceived in terms of trustworthiness, creating a supportive and safe environment, as well as how transparent and authentic we are. I'll be providing trainings on these topics, consulting versus coaching, advising, and mentoring, to help you with specifics, lines of questions, ways that you can show up and ways that you can work with your advisees. I'll also be providing a trauma-informed approach training so that you can understand, more importantly, how the power dynamics within the relationship are occurring and what you can do not only with your business advisor, but with everyone else at work or at home. So peer support is another real important aspect when we are talking about working with people who've been undergoing severe stress or have experienced it in the past. And you're becoming peer support or a support system so that they can go out and find other peer support. You'll be able to help them with resources and help them to build a network potentially that can work for them, or networking skills so they can network within their own communities. The collaboration and mutuality are really important. Those are skills that you can be modeling through your presence and how you're actually doing your coaching. And empowerment, your voice, what you're choosing to say in your sessions. And those are things that I'll be covering in the training about general coaching versus consulting, as well as the trauma-informed approach. Okay. And that way, together, we're going to be able to help move people beyond where they are, understanding cultural differences and norms, and working toward the changes that we want to have through the historical injustices that people have experienced. So when we're undergone prolonged stress or experienced trauma, we're operating from a place where we're not our best selves. We're from a place where we're more stressed rather than at our best. We want to be more balanced. more centered in all areas of our lives. And as you start working with your advisees, you'll likely find that, they strike up a friendship with you and or a nice, stronger relationship once they've trusted you and they know that you're there for them and they're looking out for the best interests. And they may be talking about their relationships. They may be talking about other things going on in their lives because we're whole people. So recognizing this, you can really help someone move beyond how they've been operating from their history of trauma. Okay. Another thing is shifting perspective. There's so many things coming at a small business owner. Anyone who's had their own business knows you've got so many roles to play, so many demands on your time, in addition to whatever your living situation might be in your personal life. So a lot of times, especially with all the pressures that we've experienced globally lately, we know what it's like to feel that there's so much bearing down on us, that we're being controlled or constricted, or that we're actually having life is happening to us. Instead of being able to zoom out from it and take a perspective of life happening around us, being able to exhale for a moment, reset ourselves, and be able to enter back into life in a way where we're more empowered, where we're more centered with ourselves, more sure and more clear about where we're headed and what we want to do next, or at least having the capacity to be able to do that. Right? So hopefully we provided you a little bit of information about what your experience will be like and what it could be like, and how you're contributing to further these communities. You're going to have an opportunity to partner with a small business owner, and it's going to be important to maintain regular contact, monthly contact with them. Even if they're busy, even if they said, hey, I'd like help with one particular issue, coming back and saying, well, I'd just like to check in with you to see if there's anything else that I can do to help to support you, can really help them potentially open to other things. And if you are able to articulate to them the kinds of resources that are available through you, as well as the rest of the PCV organization, perhaps they'll be able to see other things that they could look at in terms of improving job quality for themselves, as well as for anyone else who may be working with them. Allowing the small business owner to lead is important in terms of self-determination, self-empowerment, certainly, but maintaining an open, supportive line of communication is really going to help them with that trustworthiness and building the type of relationship that helps them as a person cultivate their leadership capabilities, the trust within themselves, as well as with others. Then communicating to them about any times that you won't be available is really important. We of course want to be mindful of and respectful of people's sensitivities they may have toward having support and then having it taken away, and not having something they can really count on. So having that stability of relationship will be really important. And if there are periods of time where you're going to be particularly busy, traveling, on vacation, something happens within your family, got a move going on, it's important to communicate that to the small business owner and know that you can also provide the opportunity for them to have someone else step in while you're out, or potentially change to a different advisor if that's going to be more appropriate for them. So staying in contact with the small business owner as well as your relationship manager will be really important. Okay, and the other thing is to establish clear expectations, as well as the schedule, of frequency when you'll be meeting, when you are available, how to contact you, and the best means of communication so that your business owner does feel supported and that they can reach out. As to your business advising team at PCV, you're going to have lots of resources available to you. You have a dedicated relationship manager that you want to cultivate a relationship with. And by that, I mean that you'll be receiving monthly surveys, and you definitely should be responding to that because you're the front line. You're part of PCV's new strategy where they're going to be able to keep a pulse of the communities that are served through the comments that you provide. You could be sharing a success story, and that could actually be a marketing opportunity for your small business owner. You could share with your relationship manager when you had a really fabulous session and what you're able to achieve in that session. The other thing is to recognize that it's not necessarily hitting the goal and the target the business owner has set that's the most important. It's being with them to help them explore and discover whether that goal was the right thing in the first place. And you'll also be receiving a LinkedIn group that you'll be a part of for potential networking, getting to know other people in your areas of focus. Credly certification badges, if you go through the different cohorts and complete those, then you can put your Credly certification on your LinkedIn profile, as well as being able to connect with other people so who do have this. So in the training cohort that you sign up for, it's going to help you to enhance your tools and skills, expand to new areas of focus potentially, both for yourself personally and professionally, as well as potentially advising other small business owners in other areas here at PCV. And when you do join the cohort, then you'll have a Slack channel that you'll be a part of for networking with the other people. And these are all the various areas that there are cohorts that you could potentially join. Grants, finance, marketing, business fundamentals, advising BIPOC entrepreneurs, good jobs, good business, as well as general coaching and advising for partnership success. So we look forward to working with you and are really excited that you've joined this dynamic team of mentors and advisors that are going to be making change across the country. Thank you so much. Now, Daniel, if you would, I see we have a number of questions in the chat. Perhaps you can hop on and answer some questions for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the questions have been answered in the chat already. So if you have any remaining questions, feel free to just drop them in the Q&A and we'll get to them. And I see one chat came in asking, where are the certificate badges? So those will be administered through Credly after you attend your advisor topic specific cohort. And those can be displayed on your social media channels. And you'll most frequently see them on LinkedIn. And we have another question come in. Does PCV have partnerships with organizations that provide investment opportunities outside of California? Absolutely. So we provide small business loans to businesses in California. And for any business owners that apply for our loan, but they're in an area outside of California, then we have a list of different organizations that we'll refer them to. And you can also refer them to the small business development at the SBDC. And they have regional offices for them to get more information on how to apply for a small business loan. And we have another one come in say, how do I find out about the training cohorts? Will they all be emailed? So when signing up for this orientation, you had to have selected one of the cohorts to enter. But Angel, I could follow up with you after this webinar and share with you the Linktree link so that you can select which cohort interests you most and aligns with your skills. And Terry asked, how do you sign up for Lavania's cohort? This will also be in the Linktree link, and it'll be under advising BIPOC entrepreneurs cohort. And I just see that Kara in the chat linked it. So just click on that link and we'll also send you a follow-up email with this link to sign up if you haven't already. And then another question came in, are there regular trainings for advisors once advising begins? Yeah, absolutely. So these trainings, they'll go on all the way until Q3 ends. And then once Q4 begins, we'll start these cohort trainings up again. And then we have another one come in saying, I signed up for this, but did not receive a separate calendar invite for the second part of the finance training. We're still working on getting that registration link to you. And once we do, you'll receive a calendar invite. Any other questions? Okay, great. Well, I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us today in this orientation to kickstart our advisor trainings. These are really exciting because we heard a ton of feedback from our advisors expressing interest and a demand for these trainings. So just really happy to be able to provide this to our advisors. And these trainings are really designed to contribute to the growth, promote community within the advisor network, and really put our collective heads together to best support our small business owners who really are the backbone of our economy. And we hope you walk away from this orientation just excited to attend your topic specific training, where you'll just learn how to use your existing skills within that particular topic and apply it using a Pacific Community Ventures lens with the client or small business owner that you're working with. And if you haven't received it yet, we'll send you the Zoom link to the topic specific training that you chose from the Google form submission.
And thank you so much for all of the comments. Those are really helpful.
Thank you all. We look forward to working with you all in the different cohorts.
All right, thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Good evening. Bye.